So welcome to another episode of the GloBUNTU School of Life Masterclass. It's Saturday, and today we are coming to you with this class at an unusual time, not at 5 p.m. as usual, but at 2 p.m. because we want to avoid the load shedding program that is going on in SA right now. So by 5 p.m., there will be no light here. That's the reason why we don't want to miss a masterclass. We don't want to postpone a masterclass. We always want to do what we put out, what we say we're going to do. So welcome to episode 8 of the GloBUNTU School of Life Masterclass. And I'm so excited as usual for this class today. You will understand once you meet our master teacher for today. Again, my name is Beatrice Achaleke. I am the publisher of the Africa for Smart Kids book series and the author. I'm excited. And then I miss my... I am the author of the Africa for Smart Kids book series and the publisher of GloBUNTU books. At GloBUNTU books, we pride ourselves with collecting, documenting, and sharing powerful African stories so that you don't have to reinvent yourself. And the essence of this School of Life Masterclass is to bring people on board, people who have journeyed through life, who have learned lessons, people who are out there standing up, doing things, falling down, standing up, and just bouncing forward and never giving up. Above all, these are people who have lessons, who have principles, who have tools and systems that they have put in place that help them move on each time that they fall down. And today, our master teacher will be telling you a whole lot of nice things, and above all, we'll be having fun. We will be having fun because the GloBUNTU School of Life Masterclass is a place where we have fun while we are learning. Remember, life is a story, and some stories are really life-changing. That said, I want to invite you to today. This is my sister Mbao, who is coming to us today all the way from Zambia. Good afternoon, sister, and thank you for your flexibility.
Good afternoon, Beatrice, and thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
The transmission is a little bit slow, so you will see a kind of a break between what I'm saying and the answer that is coming from Zambia. So please bear with us. The network is not at its best today. So Mbao, please kindly introduce yourself if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Hey, Beatrice, thank you so much for... Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Mbao Ngula, and I am founder and executive director of Project Educate. We are an indigenous nonprofit, non-governmental organization that is designed to help improve educational standards and infrastructure in Zambia as a way of helping to build developmental capacity.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Tell us a little bit, how long have you been on this project, and how many young people are benefiting from this project in Zambia?
The question is how many young people are benefiting from this project in Zambia? The reality is we currently have partnerships with over 105 schools in the Western province of Zambia. And currently we are actively in 10 schools within the Mongo School District. We have provided support to schools that are outside of the Western province of Zambia, schools that are in Lusaka, schools that are in the Southern province, as well as the Copperbelt province. We have also provided support to a nursing college that's based in the northwestern part of Zambia. So, a small organization, but one with a considerable reach when you consider the number of institutions that we are working with. In totality, we are talking in excess of 11,000 students that have benefited from our work in one way or another. We are talking about providing basic computer literacy training, access to computers themselves. We are talking about access to books, working with schools and communities to improve literacy. We are talking about inspiring young people to begin to be the change they want to see in their own communities. To borrow from Gandhi, we also run an environmental initiative that has seen the planting of trees as well as the raising of indigenous tree nurseries among our partner schools. The reason we wanted to do that is to try and find a local intervention to the loss of indigenous tree species, which in Zambia is right now is estimated at an excess of 300,000 hectares per year. And when you consider the value of indigenous trees, indigenous forests to local systems, to providing medication, to providing shelter, and so on and so forth, you begin to understand just how important an initiative like what we call Conservation Nation is. So, right now, actively involved in 10 schools in the Western province, focusing on different things based on the community needs of those particular schools and communities.
Wow, that's powerful. So many you've reached so many young people, and I really, really, I am applauding. I'm applauding, and I wish that those projects will be in every African country. If you're joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, you are tuned into the GloBUNTU School of Life Masterclass, and today we are broadcasting full episode 4. As usual, our masterclasses come to you in 4 chapters. Chapter 1 is the intro, that is where we are right now. And after this, we're moving to chapter 2, where we'll be looking at the 5 key lessons of our master teacher. In chapter 3, we'll be looking at her next chapter, what she's up to. And in chapter 4, we'll wrap it all in a nutshell. Class, nothing ever stops a GloBUNTU masterclass. So let me see if my sister is back. Those of you out there, please bear with us. You know, the GloBUNTU masterclass is always an open class. We invite all of you joining us to participate. You can either comment, you can share your own experiences, you can, relate with our master teacher or whatever it is. Please make sure to make your voice heard. I don't know whether we're broadcasting now because the network seems to be not very stable. So I'm waiting for my sister to show. So we are back. The network is troubleshooting. But we are carrying on with the class. So thank you, those of tune in on Facebook, YouTube, for bearing with us with this. So, sister, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but I haven't been able to hear you for the past maybe 5, 6 minutes.
Yes, the network it's bumpy. It's coming and going. So if you can hear me, I will say let's continue and see how it looks like. Um, for our listeners out there, those attending the masterclass, sorry for that. We were trying to avoid this. We're having terrible load shedding in South Africa since all of this week. And so because of that, the network is very unstable. So we apologize for that delay, for that no show. We are back in the masterclass, and if you're joining us, please just join the conversation, and I will take us back to our master teacher for today and ask you the question that I ask all the master teachers. Thank you for that you do, that you introduced in the first part of this masterclass. Now we want to go back to you and say, what is that defining moment, that defining experience, that defining story that changed the course of your life forever?
Oh wow. I remember I was living in the US decades ago, well, a couple of decades ago. And I remember waking up on one cold Chicago morning and looking outside my apartment, and somebody had thrown out a computer. So obviously, I went downstairs to take a look at it and brought it back to my apartment, and it turned out it was a perfectly good computer. I never liked to tell that story, but the reality is, once I had turned that computer on, and I spoke to my neighbor, the person who had thrown it out, and I realized this is a perfectly good working piece of equipment that a school in my native country could not have. What would happen if I could send maybe one, maybe two computers to my old primary school? We were really, really lucky. We managed to get 500 within 2 weeks. The computers were shipped, they went to Zambia. And in that moment of picking that piece of equipment up, what I saw was an opportunity. And I remember very clearly because this is the time when everybody was talking about how the West was dumping technology onto the African continent. But from where I came from, one good used computer was better than no computer at all. And so, with that shipment of 500 computers, we became effectively the first organization to introduce the use of computers into primary schools in Zambia's Western province. What happened was, I was living abroad at the time. My parents started getting all of these requests. If it wasn't a computer, it was a book. I never set out wanting to start a nonprofit organization. And initially, I just thought, well, we can just provide the supplies and that's the end of it. But once we had sent that initial shipment of computers and we had seen the results, the effects, it became very clear that what we had was an opportunity to actually do something that had been done elsewhere before, but something that had the potential to begin to bring about or to unravel the Leviathan that we had initially thought was implacable. We never thought a school in Western Province would have a full computer lab or that we would get 35,000 books shipped to our schools. But we did. And in a relatively short period of time. And what has happened since then has been an evolutionary journey because we began to understand that it wasn't enough to simply just provide books or computers or plant trees. We needed to get entire communities to begin to understand that they held the answers to the questions, these huge developmental challenges or questions that they were answering. And so, one moment, yes, that one cold winter morning in Chicago, just realizing that being in that environment, I could move one computer from point A to point B, and it would change uh, not just one child's life, but potentially an entire school, potentially an entire community. So that would be the one defining moment. But the reality is, since then, there has been several defining moments. What I believe is that life is both evolutionary and revolutionary. We are constantly creating and recreating ourselves. And so, from donating computers to providing books to providing English language lessons to women and girls who are out of school, what is happening is that we are growing. We are growing in more relevant ways because now the issue is not just let's provide these resources. The issue is now also not only how do we make effective use of these resources, but how do we engage individuals in these communities to understand that the answer they are looking for lies within themselves. Africa's solutions lie within Africa.
I love that. I love that. Africa's solutions lie within Africa. The solutions we're looking for lie within ourselves. I very much resonate with that. And you talked about, that moment, that one computer that turned out within 2 weeks to become 500 computers. You talk about 35,000 books. You talk about so many young people that are being reached with this program, not just youth, but women. And I see, the more when you say a word, I see how that one computer is expanding and expanding and expanding and growing and touching lives, and transformation is happening. And you're moving on to planting trees. That reminds me of Wangari Maathai, Wangari Maathai, who was the pioneer on the continent and in the world, a woman who planted trees for the rest of her life and even received the Nobel Peace Prize for that. So it's amazing to see what happens. Now, you out there listening to our masterclass, the question is, what is that defining moment that has changed your life, or that is about to change your life? Or what are you taking from Mbao's story that can probably be the defining moment that could change your life or someone else's life? What are you sitting on? What are your challenges now? What is within you? What is going on in you right now? Have you understood now that the solutions? Please join the masterclass. Share with us, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. We would love to hear from you as we continue to chapter 2 of the masterclass. And as usual, the transition to chapter 2 is always a quick info. We give you, we either talk about books, but this time I want you to stay with the youths. The GloBUNTU TRAILBLAZER Award that is coming up on the 20th of June. I want to share this with you. If you haven't nominated your children, you haven't nominated your godchild, you haven't nominated your niece, your cousin, whoever, please use this weekend to nominate, because we're closing the nomination on Monday. So that was a video. Now we're coming up with the Trailblazer Award. Today is a very crazy day, so please bear with us. Hello, my name is Beatrice Achaleke. I am the author of the Africa for Smart Kids book series and publisher of GloBUNTU books. I am here to invite you to nominate your children, your grandchildren, your godchildren, your learners, all the Black kids around you for the GloBUNTU Trailblazer Award 2021. You'll bear with me that with the ongoing pandemic, our kids have gone through so much. They have beaten and they're still beating the pandemic. And I think this deserves a big applause. We deserve to celebrate them massively. And that's the reason why we've set up the GloBUNTU Trailblazer Award 2021 to celebrate our kids in the following categories. GloBUNTU Academic Trailblazer. This category recognizes kids and young adults who, despite the pandemic and being locked down, have excelled at school through excellent grades, regular school attendance, and who have always completed their homework on time and or shown exemplary behaviors at school. GloBUNTU Creative Trailblazer. This category celebrates kids and young adults who, despite the pandemic and being locked down, have been able to use the time to ignite their creativity. This includes all forms of creative writing and publishing, including but not limited to books, blogs, podcasts, vlogs, paintings, drawings, music, poetry, radio programs, etc. GloBUNTU COVID-19 Solution Trailblazer. In this category, we are looking out for kids and young adults who have come up with any solutions, technology, devices, etc. that helps create awareness, offer protection and prevention or cure of COVID-19. GloBUNTU Community Impact Trailblazer. This category is for kids and young adults who are engaged in social activities in their communities and neighborhoods during the ongoing pandemic, such as helping elderly people and taking care of the needy and most vulnerable members of their communities. GloBUNTU Healthcare Awareness and Services Trailblazer. This category recognizes kids and young adults who are engaged in providing healthcare services to people in their communities, such as working in hospitals, COVID testing and vaccine centers, traditional healing programs, and any other related hair care facilities. GloBUNTU Family Unity Trailblazer. This category rewards any contributions by kids and young adults in helping families stay together, protected, and happy during the lockdown. This includes helping with house chores, ensuring that quarantine rules such as social distancing, sanitizing, and other hygienic rules are respected at home. A GloBUNTU Invention and Innovation Trailblazer. This category recognizes kids and young adults who, despite the ongoing pandemic and being locked down, have successfully invented COVID and homeschool related solutions that help people stay safe, protected, peaceful, and happy during the pandemic. GloBUNTU Business and Finances Trailblazer. This category recognizes kids and young adults who have successfully developed income-generating business solutions or concepts during the pandemic, which are now giving them an income. Nomination forms are now available on www.globuntubooks.com. Click on Black Youth Summit 2021 and use the registration and nomination forms to register and to nominate your candidate. Deadline for nomination is June 12, 2021 at 12 noon GMT plus 2. Thank you so much for joining me in celebrating our kids. We as parents, we as adults owe it to the next generation to celebrate them, to uplift them, and to affirm them through the pandemic. I'll see you at the award ceremony. Thank you. So welcome back. That was the GloBUNTU Trailblazer Award that is coming up on the 20th of June, where we're celebrating Black kids for beating the pandemic. And this ties very much with the story of our master teacher for today, who is an educator, who is a social entrepreneur, who is doing amazing work with kids in Zambia, not just in schools, but also planting trees and working with women. So before we took that short break, we listened to how this all began with a computer that she found on the street. Started a program here and is reaching out to so many people. Now, Mbao, we can talk about that project lengthily, but right now in this chapter 2, we want to learn about the 5 key lessons that you've learned in life so far, either during the pandemic or during that project or just being alive. Your 5 key lessons learned so far, please.
It's funny, somebody asked me yesterday for 3 lessons. Today I get 5. But I think in doing this work, what has been very clear, number 1, is that you
Oh, the network is broken again. It's broken this time from Zambia. We are really having a challenge today with the network. So please bear with us. Stick in with us. Don't go away. Stay with us right to the end. Mbao will be back very shortly. We are having network challenges, and not just in South Africa, but probably in all of Southern Africa. So we're waiting for our master teacher. Please, those of you out there, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up via Facebook or YouTube. Give me a thumbs up. Let me see if the network is just on my side or on Mbio's side. Okay, I see she's coming back. This network today is really terrible. But again, we're not impressed. We're not going to
really try.
So we are ready for your 5 lessons. We're beating this network.
We are beating it.
Okay. So, Mbao, please carry on, sister.
Sure. I was just saying earlier that I think one of the most important lessons I've learned is intent. Your intent is what guides
Mm-hmm.
you. This is what
Mm-hmm.
keeps you focused. Intent
Mm-hmm.
tells you um, it tells you who you are, what your purpose is. And as long as you stay true to that, you stay focused to actually
Mm-hmm.
achieving whatever goal you have set yourself in. The next, I think, would be commitment. I think for many of us, we start things and
Mm-hmm.
then we find that, oh, it's too hard. Oh, it's too cold. Today, I don't want to get out of bed. Or the network is so bad. There's load shedding in South Africa. So we have that sort of thing. But I think if your intent is paired with your commitment, you are able to stay the course. The reason most people fail is not because they don't want to do something, but it is because they're not committed enough to the cause to which they set out to accomplish. And this the third lesson for me, which has been my word of the year for the past 3 years, well, 2 years now. It ties really well with the first two, is authenticity. It's important in whatever it is you're doing to be authentic, to be true, not only to who you are, but whatever cause it is you're working for. For many of us, we find ourselves like a leaf in a river. If you're sat by a river and you've seen a leaf, wherever the tide goes, that's where it goes. Lesson number four for me, I think, is just to
Wait,
realize
sister.
the value
Let's
of
take a
teams
break right
because
there.
change does not happen in
Let's take a
isolation. But I think the most important lesson I've learned during the course of doing this work.
let's take a break with the first three, and then we'll come back for the next two. So I just want to summarize. You said the first lesson is intent. Some people call it vision. Some people call it your purpose. Some people call it whatever you call it. It's just, being mindful, being aware of what you want to do, knowing what it is that you want to do, being in it, standing in it, whether it rains or not.
Okay.
And I think it's that one,
All right,
that
that's
intent,
fine. We
that
can do
vision,
that.
that vision. Okay. So I think the transmission is still slow. She's getting me a little bit later, but we're carrying on. Number two is commitment. And when you are committed to something, you build resilience muscle, you build patience muscle, you build tenacity. Whatever comes your way, you always find a reason to do it. You always find you're flexible you may be flexible with your methods, but you're stubborn with your goal because that is the commitment that you've made either to yourself, to people around you, to friends, to family, to children, to communities, to a country. That's the way you want. So whatever happens, you become patient and you avoid excuses. You avoid excuses because excuses is the first thing that you will use when you face the first challenge. If you don't have that commitment, that strong commitment, and if you don't have the intent or the vision. And number three was authenticity, being authentic to yourself and to whatever you set out to do, that you say you believe me, you always find ways. Whatever challenge comes your way, whatever obstacle you encounter along the way, you always find a new way. You are creative in finding solutions. You're creative in finding ways to keep on keep on in your intent, being committed, and being authentic in whatever it is that you are doing. So those are the the first three lessons of our master teacher of today, my sister Mbao from Zambia, an educator. And if she can hear me now, I will invite her to bring in the last three lessons. Please bear with us. The transmission is slow, so it will take some time until she comes in. But she is definitely coming in because we have an intent for this masterclass, because we're committed, and because we want to be authentic. So I will hand it over to her when she's ready.
right. Next lesson for me would be to understand that we need to meet people at their point of need, not our point of resource. And
Mm.
this is an issue that I
Mm.
have really working in this area. Just within designing initiatives, it's very easy because you have a bag of money to tell people what to do instead of taking the time to listen and
Mhm.
understand what it is they're saying, and then sit together and find interventions that could work to address these challenges in the context in which they exist. Really, really important.
Mhm.
Meet people at their point of need and not necessarily your point of resource. What you're going to find is
Mhm.
that you're creating relevant interventions. You are creating long lasting and sustainable solutions to some of these challenges. So, really, really important. I would also say see the value in teams. As an African, it's interesting. Growing up, I never understand why I grew up in a home where there were so many cousins and uncles and that sort of thing. And then I went away. I lived in the US. I lived in Europe, and what I found was that there was value in those people around me because each one of them had something to teach me. I had something to learn from each one of them. It's the same way when you're building your team to actually meet whatever need it is you're trying to meet. Notice the value in your teams. Make use of your teams because change does not happen in isolation. I would add one more, and this again ties back to these teams and these large families that as Africans we grow up in. I am a firm believer in the idea of Ubuntu, the idea that I am because you are. And I say this all the time. For me, it's not just a philosophy, it's not just a statement that you put out there, because what Ubuntu is, what's enshrined in Ubuntu, is a sense of duty and responsibility, not only to yourself, but to those around you, not just to your community, but the greater global community as well. This sense of duty and responsibility goes beyond just paying attention to humans. It also speaks to taking care of the natural planet. It is the reason our forefathers went into the forest and only collected what they needed. There was never a need to take more because they understood inherently taking more than you needed presented an exertion on the local environment that would destroy it. And so for me, the lesson in leadership really has been using this philosophy of Ubuntu to craft programming, to build an organization that contributes to the greater global community in a way only an African can, because Ubuntu is essentially who we are as a people.
Wow, powerful. Extremely powerful. I love each one of those 6 lessons learned. I'm not going to summarize all of them, but just speak a few things right there. Meet people where they are in their place, in their point of need. I think I really, really love that. Quite often we come in thinking that we know what people need. We think that we know what people need, and then we provide things that are not necessary. We bring in projects and programs, and when they don't work, we complain that these projects are not working, that people are not committed. But the reality is that we did not meet them at their point of need. We probably met them at a point of what we thought were their needs, and probably these needs are no longer there, or are not important to them, not their priority. So I really, really, really like that one. And those of you who are joining the masterclass, these are powerful lessons for those of you who are working with communities, those of you who are social entrepreneurs, those of you who want to impact people's lives. It's extremely important. This lesson is so important that you know where to meet people, not what you think it's in your head, not in the space that is in your head. This rings a bell in my head because, especially those of us who go abroad, when you're coming back to the continent, you think that I got it all, I'm going to fix Africa. But sometimes, like my experience, I had to get here and first allowed Africa to fix me and give me a mission, give me something to do. And from that moment, whatever comes my way, I am ready to take the fight. I have intent, I have the vision, and all of the, those points because because I learned how to listen the hard way. So thank you very much for that lesson. Lesson number 5 is see value in teams. See value in teams. I think none of us is an island, right? None of us is an island. Wherever we are, we have been enabled by someone. Even the bad experiences that we have in life that turn out to become lessons, they're enabled by someone. We are here because other people are around. And without people around us, we can't do anything. We set up our business to satisfy or to find solutions to people who are in need. We go to the shop and we buy. Someone is always serving us. We're always depending on someone, and someone is always depending on us. So I like that idea of saying, see value in teams, whatever these teams are. So teams are not just limited to work with industries, but I guess when you say team, you're meaning the whole world that around you, the ecosystem that you're in is part of the team that you're probably talking about, right? And then number 6, Ubuntu, we can't stress enough on the power of I am because you are. You become who you become because of the people that you've met along your journey, starting from your parents, your community, your siblings, your teacher, your professor, your mentor, your clients, that your church members. This is all what we're talking about, and this is so powerfully African. This is the Ubuntu philosophy that is so powerful and so huge that we have to digest bits and pieces of it as we progress through life. So, sister, thank you so much for these lessons. One quick thing before you go: when you talk about teams, what is the team that you're talking about? Or and attached to that is there something else that you like to add to wrap up your 6 lessons learned?
Hmm. Uh, I think you were asking what I mean by team. Hello, Beatrice. I'm
Yes.
sorry if you can
Can
hear
you
me.
hear me?
You were asking, yeah, I can hear you now. You were asking what I meant by team. For me, the team is, of course, you're going to think of team in the formal way of thinking of teams, the people that you work with to get work done. But I have 2 sets of teams. I have a personal team, which is very, very important. And this is the team that uh, is important for one very specific reason. It is the team that knows me in a way that people outside that inner circle do not know me. Uh, it's the team that allows me to self-care. I'll give you an example. I had a tragic loss just a couple of weeks ago. I lost a favorite niece, and I got a call literally in the middle of the night before she passed. One of my friends who's based in the capital called and said, "Girlfriend, I feel like something is coming. I'm sending you a care package." I didn't know what she was saying. It wasn't until the next day when I realized, so this team, this personal team is connected to me not just physically, it is connected to me spiritually. This is the team that I go to whenever I want to go into a corner and cry. They allow me to be me, they see me, and this is the mirror through which I see myself. Because if you choose this team well, these are the people who are able to come to you and look you in the face when you don't want to hear that you've made the wrong choice or you've made a bad decision. because your subordinates at the office, they'll be too scared probably to come to you. But this team is going to come to you and hold that mirror up to you and say, hey, look. And as long as we are being honest with ourselves, we are able to see ourselves in the mirror that these people reflect to us. So yes, teams in a very formal way. You want to be able to ensure that you employ the right people. You want to make sure that that team is taken care of in terms of resources. But teams also, that personal the connections that you have with your inner circle that allow you to self-care. I like to think of them as my emotional trash can. I think it's what trash cans are underestimated wherever we are. But the reason I call them trash cans is because it's important to have that place where we can go and dump. And I'm not saying damp and leave it dirty, because the only way you are able to have a trash can in the house is if you know how to clean it. So your trash can is going to be clean. And my inner circle is my emotional trash can. I'm so grateful that I have them, but they allow me to see me, to be me, so that I can be the best in the world. I'm not sure if it answers your question, Beatrice.
It does. It does. And I'm so happy that you bring in that aspect. I wasn't even thinking about that. and I'm so happy that you extended. And it's so important what you said. It's so important to think about team, in that inner circle way. In the GloBUNTU mind shift concept, I have one of the training programs, one of the activities that is called mapping your relationships. Mapping your relationships. And in that map, you
Yes.
cheerleaders, who are your vision bearers, who are the people that you go to detox, all of that. So I'm very happy that you mentioned that. So this is really the spirit of Ubuntu. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we will move on with the next part of the story, with the next chapter of the masterclass. But before we go, there is a question from our sister friend from Japan. So Pauline she's a GloBUNTU author, and she is also a serial author and publisher. She is a professor in Japan, but she comes from Guyana. She's So that's the question. Will you want to take that very quickly? But I'll also provide you with her contact, so you can connect with her and see what comes
hey, Pauline,
in that.
I think.
Yes, go ahead,
Pauline,
please.
thank you so much for reaching out. If you can hear me, so the really quick answer goes back to what I was just talking about, being able to rely on teams. When I started out, I was very lucky. All right, I was very lucky that I had connected with a wonderful gentleman named Fred Mednick. Fred Mednick is founder and was the executive director of a global organization called Teachers Without Borders. And I remember reaching out to him and saying, hey, this is what I want to do in my country. Are you able to help? And he came back to me within 24 hours and said, hey, think about this differently. What if we go to a school district? And our first donation of computers came from the Montgomery County Public School District in Maryland. They were recycling their computer equipment, perfectly good computers. And this is how we managed to get the computers that we sent to Zambia. So what you're looking at is school systems that are looking to recycle computer equipment, potentially tech companies if they're there. But I do know of a number of organizations that do provide computer equipment. What we have just done recently is just moved away from donating computers and started looking at how do we make effective use of the ones that we had already donated. Because you could go to a school and find the computers are just packed up in some room. And so, yeah, but would love to connect, Pauline. I'll reach out to Beatrice and we can chat a little bit more about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking that question and for the insight. Pauline, thank you for joining from all the way from Japan. Thank you. So let's go to chapter 3. Chapter 3. Yes, we're doing chapter 3 now. And I didn't even ask you, how are you doing with this pandemic? How is it? What is the positive thing that you've learned about yourself during the pandemic? Let's put it that way.
Who positive thing? Your question is, what is the positive thing that I've learned about the pandemic or during the pandemic? I would say there's been a
Or do you
number
have during the
of
pandemic?
lessons. Yeah, but one sticks out, and it goes back to this whole idea of Ubuntu. And I say that looking at how COVID has progressed, say in Europe and in US, and then comparing it to the African setting. I'm not saying there's no COVID in Africa. I'm not saying we are not suffering. It is definitely there, but I think there is something to be said for a lifestyle that takes you outdoors more than it keeps you indoors. And the real big lesson for me has been nobody gets out of this alone, not a single one of us. You can think about it as this disease that came from wherever it came from. It's affecting people the way it is affecting from. But in order for us to get past it, we need to start taking care not only of ourselves, but of each other. That social distancing is taking care of yourself and taking care of each other. That hand sanitizing, all of the things that we are being asked to do during the pandemic is asking us to take care not only of ourselves, but the people who are around us. Because if one person is infected, chances are somebody else also is going to get infected pretty soon. So the lesson there has really been the value in taking care of ourselves, taking care of our communities. And again, it takes me back to the whole Ubuntu, because this is what we do essentially as African, taking care of one another. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. If you think about that, it tells you we don't have a future unless we take care of our children, unless we take care of ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, I'll dive into the next chapter, which is, what is your next chapter? What are you up to now?
I'm not sure. Hi, Beatrice, can you hear me? I think I've lost you.
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead. Next chapter. Really, I think I'm writing the next chapter every day. Aha, the next chapter. I was just saying, I believe I'm writing the next chapter every day. I'm really excited about this new initiative that has just been started by Common Purposes Julia Middleton. It's called Women Emerging in Isolation, or now Women Convene. But it's a global collective of women where women are just coming together and just causing a whole lot of good trouble. I am particularly excited. We are running a new media initiative with our students here in Mongol. I'm excited because this is young people. This is amplifying the voices of young people. We're not telling them what they're going to do. They are telling us what they're doing. All we are doing is supporting them and being part of this. I'm also excited about a conservation initiative that we are working on, trying again to just continue supporting the growth of indigenous forests, indigenous trees. The world is opening up. What's not to be excited about? I have a 5-year-old son who I absolutely adore, and he keeps telling me, "Mommy, I want you to take me here and there and there." So with the world opening up, I'm definitely excited about taking my son to travel a little bit and just showing him a little bit of the world. But yeah, I'm excited about life. I'm excited about the future of young people, because it is they who are going to change our world. We are simply here to support them, to guide them the way they need us to.
Thank you so much. That's so powerful. We got to be excited. Pandemic or no pandemic, lockdown or no lockdown, life continues, and we don't want to lose that
We're
excitement.
moving ahead.
I'm happy for your son. So that said, where can people find you? Where can people find you?
We have a website that's www.project-educate.org. I recently started tweeting, and my handle, my daughter is constantly reminding me. My handle is Mbao underscore Ngula. That's MBAO underscore NGULA. I am also on Facebook under my name, Mbao Ngula. You can also find me through the Facebook page at Project Educate. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. So, network is still behaving, and then we're taking advantage of it because we don't want to have any excuses. We have intent, we have commitment, we are authentic, and we value teams, and we're operating in the spirit of Ubuntu.
Yes, always.
So this is taking us to the final chapter, and if you're ready, I will just, we will wrap it up in a nutshell. By me asking you quick questions, and you just give me the answers. Just complete the following sentences for me. I am an educator because. Can you hear me, Mbao?
I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. So please complete the following sentences for me. The first one is, I am an educator because.
I believe in the transformative power of education.
Okay. The four words that best define me are.
Stubborn, determined, silly, and recently I found that I'm kind.
Recently. Okay. In the face of unexpected adversity. Mbao, are you still with me?
Not always. We can't be kind all the time.
In the
Beatrice?
face of, yes, can you hear me now? Hello? Mbao,
Mm-hmm.
okay. In the face of
Hello,
unexpected
I can hear you,
adversity,
Beatrice.
okay. Did you hear the question?
Hello, Beatrice?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Hello?
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Mm. Come on, network. This is really worrisome. So waiting for network to come. Hello, can you hear me now? Mbao, can you hear me?
Hey, Beatrice.
Give me a thumbs up if you hear me.
I am so sorry. We just have the worst connection. I don't even
Give
know
me a
if you
thumbs
can
up
hear
if you hear
me,
me.
but you are breaking out on my end.
Oh, and I can hear you. Okay, you can hear me. So let's carry on with the questions. We're stubborn about this. We're not giving in. We're not giving in. Those of you who are watching, please just bear with us. It's really bad network. So
I can, but you're breaking out. There's like not only a delayed reaction, you are also breaking. Yeah.
okay.
So
So should we carry on, or do you think what do you suggest we do now?
Beatrice?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, I have a suggestion. Okay, we will end the broadcast because this network is not very good. So what I'll do is I will collect your questions. I'll collect that part of the question and then I will upload it because we just got to finish this part. So for now, sorry for the bad transmission today. It's really bad network in South Africa and apparently in Zambia as well. Thank you for joining the masterclass. This has been the episode 8 of the GloBUNTU School of Life Masterclass with Master Teacher Mbao Ngula from Zambia, and we are trying to beat the network and carry on, but we can't do this anymore. But I will upload that final part of Mbao's masterclass. Thank you so much for having joined us and for liking and sharing this